KTV political analyst Brian Sobel. Brian, thank you so much for being here with us today.
My pleasure. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. So we just heard in that story there kind of the background and what's been going on, and it's obviously an interesting move by President Obama, and I think, of course, on his mind is saving many Americans from not having health insurance who were finally able to get health insurance, some much-needed coverage. January 20th, Inauguration Day, we may not see anything that early, but what are we going to see? I know the January 31st deadline is coming up shortly after for coverage in California.
Yeah, a couple of things to think about. One is that President Obama is really working on his legacy at this point. And Obamacare, so-called Obamacare, which is the Affordable Health Care Act, is a very important piece of his legacy. He went to Capitol Hill to make the case that it needs to be saved. In turn, Donald Trump is saying, and the Republicans are saying, it needs to be reformed. It's not working. Healthcare premiums are way too high. You don't have the choice that was promised. This sets up a dynamic where there's going to be a lot of arguing over what the future of the Health Care Act is. My guess is it's going to take a while to sort out.
And I think, you know, what both Democrats and Republicans could kind of agree on is that, you know, some changes could be made, whether it's reform or repeal. We've heard from different stories from different sides. We've heard, you know, the vice president-elect saying he wants to repeal it. We've heard recently, after Donald Trump was elected, saying, hey, you know what, maybe we won't repeal it.
Right.
We kind of really don't know exactly what's going on.
And this is exactly what the American people need to understand, is this is going to be a process, and it's going to take a while. We don't know whether this package will undergo reforms after it's repealed, or whether they will take the decision to just lay it open and begin picking at it. We don't know all those things, but for people who are worried about their coverage, I don't suspect that in the near term they have anything to worry about. This is going to take some time to sort this out, but it is in the top 5 of what the new administration wants to deal with as they come in to office beginning on January 20th.
And I'm sure for many Americans hearing that it is good news, but it's still kind of that looming, you know, what is going to happen in the future. And I think, you know, you kind of touched on the process a bit. I mean, what kind of process are we talking about? Obviously, a very lengthy process if we're going to repeal it. But what would that mean for many Americans?
Well, first, the process is going to be a lot of debate on the floor of Congress about, you know, what the terms are that should be kept and what should be jettisoned in favor of enhancements. Anytime you bring a program forward, it's going to have problems. This one has had a lot of problems. And I think on a bipartisan basis, everybody understands it needs to be reformed. It's just the reforms that are going to be very heavily debated. But it'll be a test of the new Congress to be able to work their way through this without, you know, picking up unnecessary enemies. I mean, it's about fixing a problem.
And we've heard, you know, House Speaker Paul Ryan say, hey, we don't want to pull the rug out from under people.
Right.
From the many Americans who now have health coverage who may not have had before.
Right.
We don't want to pull the rug out from them. But, I mean, is there really a good way around all of that and kind of pleasing the overall population, I guess?
Well, I think the Republicans feel like if it's done right, they can slide the new program in essentially over the old program and not have people find themselves without coverage. I don't think that's going to happen. I think whatever happens, it'll be a reform package more than getting rid of something and starting over. There are components of the package that work, and they'll keep those.
Okay.
It's going to be a very interesting process to see how all these folks get together.
It definitely will be, and I'm sure there'll be much more discussion.